So You Think You Can Craft. Host, Melissa Makes It. Co-host, Artsy Maddie. This month, the theme is fabric. Links to the host and playlist will be in the description box. I am starting out with a treat sack from Easter. These are from the Dollar Tree. If you don't have any of these treat sacks, you can always use an old sock or just some fabric. And I'm just stuffing this with plastic shopping bags, something that everyone should have on hand. And I'm tying it with a piece of just twine that comes in the pack with the treat sacks. Now that this is fully stuffed, I want to use something for the hat, and I have this wired burlap ribbon that was in my stash. But if you don't have this, you could always just use a tan or a brown colored piece of fabric. I'm on my front porch doing voiceover. That's why you hear a bird tweeting. Sorry. So I just pull it around to the shape of my little scarecrow head and snip it, and then I have a secondary piece that I snipped that will be used as the brim of the hat. I grabbed this hula skirt that I had in my stash, and I pulled off a few of the pieces and snipped them so I could use this as the hair. If you don't have any of the hula skirt, you could just use ribbon or just a light colored fabric and just slice it up. With my hula skirt snips complete, I just started adding hot glue and then putting pieces of the hula skirt, and I just worked my way all the way around the head. So now when I start getting my hat glued down, and I'm double checking my ribbon to make sure that I did cut enough, and then I just put more hot glue down on the top of the burlap and into some of that hula skirt, and just start attaching my burlap ribbon and just making my way all the way around the head. So I'm folding over my fabric and hot gluing it down so this will become the brim of the hat. So I just start my bead of hot glue, and I'm adding my hat brim, and it took a little bit to get this stable because I put it down with the wire edge side down so that I would be able to bend it around the head. And I made my way back on the other side of his head, and I'm just finishing off this last edge of his hat and trying to get this to just stay down. And I'm taking another bit of ribbon to measure the size for the top of the hat that I need to make and decide exactly how I want to attach it, whether I just want to glue it right on top and then cut off the excess or what. I'm just trying to decide. Now it's time to finish off the top part of the hat, and So I was just doing a dry fit of placing a piece of ribbon in the very top to see how it would be best to finish the hat off, and I just decided to add a bead of glue on the inside lip, attach one edge of the ribbon, and then fold it over to attach the other side and add a bit more glue to that so that he would have a nice top to his hat. Okay, and I want to embellish him a little. I'm going to give him a little patch on his hat from this little snip of this really pretty harvest ribbon I found at Dollar Tree, and just hot glue this down and add it to this burlap hat, and it's just adorable, just a little bit more whimsy. And he needs a little sunflower, and I like this paper sunflower. I found this at Dollar Tree as well. They have these out now in the harvest section, harvest fall section, so these should be pretty easy to find. And then these buttons came from Dollar Tree, and I picked one small and one large just to make it extra cute. You know, he's a scarecrow made from just, you know, little scraps of this and that, so he has irregular eyes, and I think that just makes him all the more cute. So I used a brown paint marker and gave him a little nose, and then grabbed the black one and gave him a little stitched mouth, added a little stitching around the patch on his hat. I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel and that you're enjoying the content so far in this video. And I think he just came out just so adorable. This is the first scarecrow I've ever made. This is going to be so adorable on my front porch, and I plan to have him sitting right in this same wheelbarrow. Our host Melissa Makes It and Artsy Maddie, our co-hosts, are incredibly talented. Here are just a few examples of some beautiful DIYs you'll find on their channels. Please check them out. I have this juncture tote that's made out of a canvasy type material, and I want to use this as a template with this gingerbread man that I found last year at Dollar Tree. I never used him. I flipped the bag over, and I'm going to use this sideways so that I can get 2 full dolls out of the one bag. With my 2 dolls traced out, I went ahead and started to cut them out. Okay, both of these have been cut out, and this fabric is thin. I would need a really small needle, and I can't find my small needle, my needle pack. So this is the only needle I can find, and this is just, it's too big for these. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dab these with hot glue, and it'll save time. These will just be a prototype. So I just worked my way around. I started at the head and tried to get my hot glue as close to the edge as possible so that I would have more space to stuff the little dolls with. And I just worked my way all the way around and left the bottom part open, just hot gluing and tapping. So with the top half glued closed, I started to insert my plastic shopping bags. I want to use these as well as decor for my front porch. So I'm just using the same thing that I used for my scarecrow and starting to just push it all the way up so I can get it into the head and the arms. And then when I got to the legs, I had to cut the plastic bags in half to start stuffing the legs and working my way around to get the legs completely glued down. I added my last partial piece of a plastic bag to finish off the leg, and then this was the last bit that I needed to hot glue to complete the ragdoll. I wrapped yarn around a box, I don't know how many times. I just kept going until it looked like it would be enough to cover the doll's head. So then I pulled the yarn off the box, and then I snipped both ends, and I snipped a piece, two pieces of ribbon. I measured to the size of the back of the doll's head so that I could glue the pieces of yarn to the ribbon and then attach them to the doll's head to give her some hair. Attaching the yarn to the pieces of ribbon and then attaching that ribbon to the doll's head is the easiest method I know to give a doll hair. I've been using this method since I was a little girl making puppets and dolls, so that's why I do it that way. Then I just added glue onto both pieces of the ribbon that I had attached to the yarn and just attached them to the back of the doll's head. And then I grabbed a few pieces and some masking tape that I'm going to twist these pieces up and give her a few rows of twisted hair to go on top of the pieces that are hanging down. Then I twisted down the ends a little bit more, applied a little hot glue, and that kept that piece in place. Then I moved on to her hair in the back and just kind of finger combed it out and gave her a cut so that it was more even and she had enough hair in the back so that I could give her a ponytail. I added a little more hot glue and twisted down some loose pieces of yarn on the other side of her head. I wanted to make sure that none of the hair that was in the little twist was poking out, so I just double checked and added just a bit more glue into some more areas so her hair looked nice and neat. And then I wanted to move on to giving her some little button eyes, and I felt that these buttons were appropriate size for the head of the doll and they would look really cute. And I have this pretty sunflower crafter square fabric that I found recently at Dollar Tree. Of course, you can use whatever you have on hand that looks pleasing to your eye. I thought this would be a very nice pattern to use for harvest time. So I just laid the fabric out on the doll and tried to figure how I wanted to start getting her dress done and how long I wanted to have it. I flipped it on the underside and placed it under her neck so that I could go ahead and trace out a neckline and pull it over her head and then start making my dress. I am no expert doll dressmaker or dressmaker, period. So I figured if I just kind of pinch in the fabric and just add a little hot glue as I go, that it would have a pretty nice shape to the dress. So I just kept pinching in and adding a bit of hot glue almost all the way down to the bottom of the fabric, and then repeated the same step on the other side so she would have a nice shape to her dress. I snipped off some of the fabric at the bottom and then I end up gluing that down so that I can make a little bow for her hair and also a little hair tie. I'm using an acrylic paint marker to draw on her smile, but you could use whatever paint or marker that you have on hand. And for the boy ragdoll, I'm using this really kind of wacky harvest pattern with all these scarecrows and pumpkins on it. It has so many like harvest, fall icons on it with sunflowers and the pumpkins and the scarecrows that I figured I would just use this and make him like some overalls. So I just traced out his body and tried to cut a little bit larger than the area I had marked off so that I could glue both the front and the back together to make his clothes. With the front and the back snipped out, then I took my detail scissors and I just started to cut away to get the basic shape of the overalls. Then I just started to hot glue the fabric down on the back, and then I flipped him over and did the same thing with the front and pulled both the front and the back pieces together so that I could glue them together on the sides. And with his clothing all finished, I decided to give him button eyes as well. Initially, I was going to make him a scarecrow, and then I decided, well, I'll just make another rag doll and just have a boy like a Raggedy Ann, Raggedy Andy type deal. So he got, button eyes and a little marker smile as well. And then for his hair, I didn't want to even try to make yarn hair for a boy, so I just used this black felt, and I thought that would work, but it ends up looking like helmet hair. So I think I'm just going to end up taking this felt off, and I'm going to make him a scarecrow like my original idea was, so that I'm totally happy with him, and he'll go out on the front porch with my little scarecrow head. So I just tried to put a bit of hot glue and then lay the felt down to the shape of the head, and then I even snipped some of the felt around the base so it kind of fit the head, but it still, to me, it looks like helmet hair. And here they both are all complete. I plan to have them sitting in this little wagon, and I think they're just adorable fall decor. I really do want to change his hair. I think he would look better as a scarecrow. Let me know, what do you think? And here's a look back at my scarecrow. I had fun making all of these fabric projects today. Please let me know, what do you think of all of my fabric DIYs?